Our tropical depression, which is now nearing southern Hainan and eventually is going to move into Vietnam, is also bringing heavy rainfall, yes, for the west coast of the Philippines, specifically here into western Visayas, Mindoro, over towards Palawan. Even Cavite looked at some heavy rainfall today due to the inflow around that low pressure center located right about in there, moving towards southern Hainan. And in fact, we'll take a look at the official track from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. That's JTW. There's your low-level center just passing south of Hainan and unfortunately expected to come on shore just south of where Kajiki just made landfall, also known as Isang in the Philippines. That storm brought some flooding, just damage, tornadoes to Hanoi. The last thing they need is another tropical system. Good news, this is not expected to be like that storm, but it is still definitely going to influence your weather and increase rainfall out there. But back towards the broader satellite picture here, and kind of give you a look at the outlook. So here goes our low-level center with that storm. It's meant to pass just towards the south of Hainan and come on shore, as I mentioned, there into Vietnam. Meanwhile, still looking at inflow with scattered showers here on Saturday over towards Sunday across Palawan, over towards Mindoro, and yeah, even Manila, some afternoon showers still in the forecast. Good news for, northern areas of Luzon. Things are going to improve overall, but we do have another trough trying to set up here, and my worry is, as this moves towards the west, these two kind of troughs with that inflow is going to connect with this other low over here, and that really is just going to increase rainfall again for central and northern areas of the Philippines by the mid to latter part of next week. So that's something we're really watching out for. Now, for the near term into the weekend, Palawan, western areas of Mindoro, down towards Iloilo, maybe even into Cebu, and yes, Cavite as well, all looking at 50 to 100 millimeters of total precipitation here. Let's just stall out there and give you kind of a closer view of what I'm talking about. So here's Palawan right here. There's Cebu, Cavite, Mindoro, some heavy showers, about 50 to 100 millimeters. Not complete flooding rain, albeit we have seen some flooding out there just because of this. And this is one reason why, a few people have said, oh, it's moving away from the Philippines. Good. And I'm like, not these monsoonal gyre type setups. That is the term that really been coined over the last 10 years. It was kind of a term prior, but recently, there's getting a better understanding of it, and it's just as broad low. Sometimes it gets called a tropical storm because it doesn't have that kind of same attitude a full-on typhoon has, more or less just a big rainmaker. And honestly, I think it should get its separate scale, a separate kind of name, the way that in the United States, they call a subtropical storm versus a tropical storm. I think the monsoonal gyres deserve their own because they're in a different world. They're not about the core of a storm. Yes, they might get called a tropical depression like this one, but it doesn't illustrate the fact that the heaviest of the rainfall is further away from the center. As you can see here, by this point, that storm is going to be heading into Vietnam, but flying over the Philippines, western areas of Mindoro, Palawan, Manila, all looking at showers and thunderstorms directly and indirectly associated with this tropical system. So that's kind of what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the broader range of a monsoonal gyre type impact. So always important to kind of analyze on your own and know what you're looking at when tracking these tropical systems, which is my whole point of doing these updates and why I really appreciate everyone's support on our Patreon, as well as make sure you hit that like and subscribe here on our YouTube channel. But for now, the number one thing is, we're still watching that low level center as a tropical depression, but you still have this big monsoonal flow. And then I do want to quickly kind of share with you, let's look at this together. Let's first look at the GFS and kind of get an idea of the long range outlook, because here you go, starting with Thursday, there's your low pressure center there off of the West Philippine Sea. And let's just scoot this ahead. Let's go ahead into Friday, heading into Saturday over towards Sunday. And this is what I was talking about. Look at that secondary low trying to develop east of the Philippines, kind of attaching to that troughing towards the west. And that could increase rainfall yet again. You can kind of see where I'm talking about right there, just like that. There's your low. There's that flow that could be kicking in and thus increasing rain by the mid part of next week. And we can look ahead in the Wednesday and the Thursday, the GFS, and even a secondary low trying to spin up behind that, and also a monsoonal gyre type setup. It really is remarkable the amount of storms just like this we are seeing so far this year. Even in the Atlantic, it's been kind of an inactive season. Granted, with that said, look at this. This is the ECMWF by the 6th and the 7th, also showing a storm coming on shore in the southern China. So you know, that is often the problem with this type of setup when you have this broad, just all sorts of convection here, 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 and nothing's terribly organized. Models have a hard time kind of grabbing onto that specific details of a low-level center. Anyways, hey, that's what I got for today. If you have any questions, though, please let me know. And as always, number one thing, of course, friends, is please stay safe out there, okay? All right, bye.